Hey, what's up, everybody? Time for another game theory answering questions kind of video. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you want to appreciate things. And it does help the channel. I'm going to start making you guys pay, hopefully, for answering the same questions all the time. But here we go. And again, there's just not a lot not to talk about video games. I've already talked about all this stuff before. So as usual, I'll try to come at it from a different angle. Sometimes rephrasing something makes it stick. So, have you ever heard the phrase of, if you've only ever used a hammer, maybe everything will start to look like a nail, right? So, not the exact translation for that or a figure of speech, but let's say if we were to hear something like that, that is basically telling you that you need to be able to think outside the box. If you've only ever appreciated one thing, maybe, if you've only ever, let's say, when we're comparing this to fighting games, if you've only ever been able to appreciate one style of a fighting game, you probably can't think outside the box if a problem occurs, right? You don't want to be a thintellectual, to use that Michael Crichton, was that the Jurassic Park phrase? I do like that word, though. It's funny. It amuses me. So, talking about this insane hatred for dragon punches in the fighting game community, right? And I was talking recently about the 2x KO interview, how they don't want you to be able to do assists while you do a dragon punch. And now there's this recent Strive thing that, so not only can you not FRC, whatever the fuck it's called in Strive when you do a dragon punch, now even if the dragon punch on hit hits you, you can't RC it, right? It is so terrible when you have a universal mechanic, and the universal mechanic, you just are so biased with it towards a certain play style or character. You're like, this is a universal mechanic for everybody except you, because I don't like that kind of move, right? And I always say, why have I been able to predict all this stuff in fighting games, do more tech for fighting games than anyone else in the history of fighting games? Is because I've gotten my feet wet in a multiple variety of fighting games, right? I've tried to teach myself to appreciate different aspects of fighting games that, although maybe it's not something, a character that I might want to play if I was playing it, I can still see the fun in it, right? And when I talk about being able to predict games, that's why you want to have your feet wet in different genres of fighting games. So then once you find the fighting game you like, you're like, well, I can apply that knowledge from another fighting game into this, right? Again, you got to be able to think outside the box. You have to be able to appreciate everything, right? That's why I think it's funny, the 2x KO, like, Jesus, we only had 6 characters in 5 years, but we really don't like zoning, so we decided to take zoning out. Oh, fuck me. Okay, do you really like fighting games? Are you sure? You can only appreciate, only one thing is fun to you. Why are they paying you for 5 years? They should fire you for saying stupid shit like that, unless you were paid to say that. Anyway, so this got brought up again recently because of the Strive change, which is terrible. You shouldn't give a universal mechanic and then play favorites. It shows biasness towards the product and the game, the players. And this was also brought up because of the idea that they don't want you to be able to do assists while doing a dragon punch. Another universal mechanic of being able to do assists whenever you do a move, except when you dragon punch. I've said this before. As much as people want to hate dragon punches, I can't think of any video game, fighting game that I've ever played where you only use dragon punches. Hate to break it to you. Even if you think of Street Fighter 2, guess what? I've talked about the balance and the chaos in a game like Street Fighter 2. Nature will find a way when there's lots of powerful tools. Dragon punches, even in Street Fighter 2, are not the end-all move. They don't break the game. If the game is well designed, every character will have unique things that make them powerful that other characters don't share. Right? So, an example I gave for Dragon Ball FighterZ in a comment was, and if I get this wrong, if this has changed in a more recent patch, you can feel free to correct me. But from the first versions of the game, let's think already when you first start off Dragon Ball FighterZ, there is a biasness towards dragon punches. Prejudiced, I should say. because they put this property of whenever you start a combo with the Dragon Punch, it does blue life. So you'll be able to regain all your life back. Ridiculous, right? But the very first patch, you still could do Dragon Punches and assists at the same time, which is reasonable, right? However, they patched it out almost immediately, and they're like, yeah, we don't really like that you can do Dragon Punches and assist at the same time. Well, let's think about it like this. What about if we come at it from the perspective of that, and I don't think this is hard to say, a Dragon Punch is a quotation mark special move, correct? Let's think about some of the foundational meta, potential meta, you could say, to varying degrees in the game. There should be a greater focus on it, as I've said, but one of the gimmicks of the game is the tug of war between fireballs and homing dashing and reflecting, right? Now, many characters, I don't know about many, but a number of characters have laser beams. Laser beams don't give a fuck about this meta, right? You can't homing dash through a laser beam. You can't reflect out of a laser beam, right? A laser beam is, quotation marks, special. I can do an assist, laser beam, whatever the fuck it is, laser beam assist, whatever. This is special. This ignores the, let's say, meta foundation of the game, right? What if we were to look at a character like, well, I don't know, Teen Gohan? Guess what? Teen Gohan doesn't have this special thing. He doesn't have a laser beam like old Gohan, right? He is always, prone, let's say, to this meta of the game. He can't laser beam to beat the idea of homing dash versus reflecting and tug of war, right? Parry. Reflect, homing dash versus fireball, right? He doesn't have a laser beam to beat that. So guess what? You know what something special he does have, though? Not every character has an invincible Dragon Punch. But, oh, wait a second. We don't like Dragon Punches, so we're not going to let you assist while you do it. So what's special about Gohan, then? Do you see what I'm getting at? So if you're going to say that Gohan can't do a Dragon Punch while doing an assist, would you say it's not also fair then to say that, well, if I get punished for one of my special moves, shouldn't you have a special move that you can't do your assist for whatever reason? I think you should pick for every character. You shouldn't be able to do an assist with your move. I don't get a laser beam. I don't get a laser beam. I can't ignore this meta, right? Do you see what I'm getting at? Why would you have a universal mechanic and then purposely say, oh, well, I don't like this one aspect. I don't like this move. And I'm not even going to give you something, like not even every character is going to have a special thing about them, so to speak, right? You see what bad game design that is? If we're looking at a game like fucking Strive, again, do you automatically win matches if you do a Dragon Punch? I mean, you have characters like the Asuka character, cube all over, all that kind of shit. Guilty Gear, oh, we're rushing you down, shit all over. So you can RC all these kind of moves to keep your pressure, to keep your turn, let's say, so to speak. But I can't RC my Dragon Punch to keep my turn. That is something that makes me special. Kai, I don't have all these different moves. What if to say, let's say just Kai versus Kai, right? Well, I could technically slide under a fireball. If a character is doing a poke string into, let's say, a horizontal poke or something like that, or some kind of mid-range move, let's say a fireball, whatever it might be, why should I be able to RC and slide under that? This is like the retarded logic that you're getting at, right? If other characters can RC moves that I don't have, right? Why can I not RC the moves that I have? It's just absolute, and it's supposed to be a universal mechanic. It shows a clear biasness, right? It shows why, like, I don't like I said for Strive, I've said this before. I think Strive is kind of like Dragon Ball Fighter Z, and that I think there are potential ideas there. Like I said, I like the characters. I like the idea, not everything that I think the character should be the end all of the character, so to speak, but I think they are interesting takes on the characters, and I think they deserve credit, you know. And just like when I talk about Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I think Dragon Ball Fighter Z has some good stuff. It's just that they didn't have anyone like tapping them on the head, the head, little head pat. I'm thinking about being in Japan again when girls like being head pat, right? I digress. You know, I lost my train of thought. Now I'm thinking about patting cute girls on the head. Anyway, now my brain is going off on different things. Wait, let me laser focus. Ram Lethal. I would, if I was younger, I would probably jack off to Ram Lethal. I admit it. I would probably do it. Yes. Okay. I'm focused. I'm focused on the task at hand, fighting games. Okay. I mean, oh yeah, so Dragon Ball Fighter Z, you know, and, you know, Guilty Gear Strive, I think there's good ideas, and you need a director to be like, hey, that's a good idea, man. This idea is bad, this idea is good. But, you know, Strive, I do appreciate, although a lot of the game system itself is fucked up. I do think Strive, you can see there's interesting ideas, and that's what I appreciate, because I've said many times before, it's hard to actually come up with new ideas, I think, for fighting games legitimately. And I do think the developers of Strive, at least from that aspect, I think they do get kudos for being creative with ideas. Now, I don't think they're always implemented correctly, and Strive is a clusterfuck with many of them, but I have no problem giving credit where credit is due. Just like Dragon Ball Fighter Z has some interesting ideas, and I think it could be fleshed up upon, right? Fleshed out. Excuse me. Sorry. And, you know, I've said many times before, I would love to have the chance to reimagine games myself, because that is something I could do. I could make games better, but, you know, I said before, could I actually make my own game from scratch? I don't think I could do that, right? I'm not so naive to think that I could totally create my own fighting game from scratch and everything would be brand new, right? I think that would be very difficult. But anyway, you know, another thing to talk about, I got this comment on, someone got mad that I was talking shit about 2XKO, and that everything I've talked about 2XKO is the same as Dragon Ball Fighters, and they've been watching my channel for a long time. And that I praise Dragon Ball Fighters, apparently. What are you fucking... They said a lot of weird shit, too. They also said that Dragon Ball Fighter Z grew my channel, which is only half true, because actually, if you go back, one of my biggest influx of subscribers is when I made my first video showing that the community had lied about me. And I got thousands and thousands of people all automatically just started subscribing to me. And I got so many messages like, oh, yeah, you know, I thought you did fake everything. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't know this. I didn't know people had lied about you. I thought, like, that's why I always say I regret not making videos like that before. But I had no idea that people were so stupid that they actually believed all the lies about me. But anyway, but no, certainly, yes, people did come from Dragon Ball Fighter Z. But the difference between 2XKO and Dragon Ball Fighters, I've already said auto combos are better. And I've made many videos explaining this. I don't know why this guy, you apparently don't watch my videos, because I've made many videos saying the bad things about Dragon Ball Fighter Z and the good things, but auto combos are done better. Auto combos are the best they've ever been in Dragon Ball Fighter Z. I've explained this many times. This video is already 14 minutes. Go watch the other videos, right? Dragon Ball Fighter Z actually has a potential new meta with the idea of homing dash versus reflecting, and the idea of homing dash and reflecting versus fireball, that tug of war. That could not be in any other fucking fighting game besides Dragon Ball Z. You're not going to see Kai homing dashing through fireballs, flying around. You're not going to see Ryu flying through fireballs, all this kind of stuff. That's cool. I like that kind of shit, right? There's nothing new, really, that I see in 2XKO, right? The worst thing about 2XKO is they're shilling it. Like, oh, we want to do all these crazy ideas. It's going to be the best fighting game ever. You've never seen this much wacky ideas, all this kind of stuff. We got the best minds ever in the fighting game scene making this. 5 years into it. Oh, yeah, we decided that zoning isn't fun, so we don't like those kind of characters. You only have fucking 6 characters in 5 years, dude. Oh yeah, we decided auto combos were the cool idea that we had 5 years into it. Like, dude, come on, are you serious? It just I'm not impressed, right? Like to compare 2XKO to Dragon Ball Fighter Z, like I would think if you're actually using your logical brain, just like and you say you've watched all my videos, which is obviously not true, or maybe it's in one ear out the other, you would see that Dragon Ball Fighter Z, although it has a lot of problems, there's some foundational stuff to build on there that you could put on a new perspective on fighting games. When you look at 2XKO, as it stands, it's a tag team game that in 5 years of footage being shown of it, whatever, all this kind of stuff, having the supposed best minds in the scene, they only have 6 characters in a fucking tag team game, and they're selling it as like, whoa, this is a brand new wacky shit that you've never seen in any other fucking fighting game, blah, 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 blah. Auto combos after 5 years. I'm not impressed by that. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, I've talked a lot of shit about, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z actually has some interesting stuff in it that you could build upon. I don't know what that comment was about. Dragon Ball Fighter Z is the same as 2XKO. I know it's hard to have an intelligent conversation about fighting games, but at least try. At least try. Okay. So anyway. Yeah, remember if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. I'm serious. Support the channel. I feel like I keep doing these videos over and over again. It's difficult to talk about the same thing over and over again. I don't know how many different ways I can explain the same thing. These games aren't changing, dude. It should not be that hard, to follow. I've explained it in so many different ways, right? And just, the idea of having a universal mechanic that is not actually universal because you hate one aspect of the game is just dumbfounding. The audacity. An emergency C-section is required to remove you. I need to practice on the Pikachu voice. An emergency C-section is required to remove you. I need to practice the licensing